So what do we do when we have a group with fundamentally different values from the mainstream majority in the society? What do we do when we have men that don't want to shake hands with women? How do we deal with this common issue that keeps coming up, where you have a group of people that believe it's against the religion to shake hands with women, and then you have women in the society and even men who feel uncomfortable with such values? As well, I have a clip where this exact issue happened with a Norwegian minister and a Muslim man on TV. Let's see how he dealt with the issue of not shaking her hands, and I'm going to tell you what I think about it. Let's get into it.
Velkommen.
Takk for det.
Takk for at du kunne komme.
Hei.
Hei.
Tusen hjertelig takk.
Bare hyggelig. Gled deg på min side. Jeg hilser sånn.
Ok.
Ja.
So before we actually get into the explanation, just to explain what happened here, this was a Norwegian minister. Her name is, I think, Sylvie, sorry. And on the other hand, you have Fahad Qureshi, obviously a practicing Muslim man. Now, the interesting thing is he must have known this was going to happen. So this is the funniest workaround I've ever seen. He was ready and prepared, waiting with flowers. Now, the funny thing is, giving a woman flowers could also, a strange woman, not your mom or something, in Islam could also be seen as completely inappropriate. So the workaround he gave, which I think he was probably nervous because I've never seen anyone do this before. What we're going to see now, what's going to be interesting is how she reacted to this, how she interpreted this, and how she felt about this. So,
Velkommen til Sylvi Listhaug og Fahad Qureshi.
Takk.
For 2 minutter siden så møttes dere i dette studio. Dere tok hverandre ikke i hånda, men du fikk en blomsterkvast, Sylvi. Fortell hva som skjedde.
Det var jo veldig hyggelig å få blomster, men det er klart i Norge det som er vanlig når vi treffer hverandre, det er jo håndhilse, og det registrerte jeg at du ikke ønsker å gjøre, og jeg har ikke fått noen forklaring på hvorfor det.
Qureshi, kan du fortelle hva som skjedde?
So she said that, you know, it's nice to get flowers, but you didn't shake my hand, and in Norway it's customary that we shake hands, right, when you meet someone, and I didn't get any explanation for that.
Jeg helt enig med deg. I norsk sammenheng så det veldig vanlig å håndhilse på hverandre, og nettopp derfor, på grunn av religiøse årsaker, så foretrekker jeg også håndhilse på denne måten, og så for å gjøre opp for det, så hadde jeg tatt med blomster for å vise at jeg faktisk setter pris på deg og verdsetter deg som et menneske. Men hva grunnen til at dere ikke håndhilser? Alle andre jeg har på besøk her håndhilser. Så hva grunnen? Det bare på grunn av min religiøse overbevisning, så skal man helst ikke ha fysisk kontakt med det.
So it's interesting. He's the, I guess, president of IslamNet, and what he's saying here is that due to religious reasons, he didn't want to shake their hands. So, I mean, it's obvious, right? And as the host said, nobody else has ever done this. And just to be clear, even among Muslims, there is a difference of opinion about whether it's okay to shake hands with the opposite sex. There's a hadith that says it's better that you would be hit in the head with a nail than for you to touch a strange woman, something to that effect. And so, you know, people that are quite religious, if they're following this to the letter of the law, this is how they behave. At some point in my life, I was also not shaking hands with women. And my views have changed a lot about this. So I'm going to tell you what I think about it, but let's finish the video.
Motsatte kjønn, fordi det min kones rettighet overfor meg at jeg ikke skal ha noen som helst fysisk kontakt med noen andre enn henne.
Listhaug, hva tenker du?
Jeg tenker at det jo litt sånn uforskammet i dagens Norge å ikke håndhilse på hverandre. Vi lever jo i et likestilt.
So he's saying, it's interesting, he's trying to brand this as like a wife thing, right? It's my wife's right that I don't touch another woman. So here we are, you know, looking at the cultural context here. He's stuck in his religious system that's telling him differently. In her religious system, in the country that he lives in, shaking hands is not seen as a sexual thing. It's seen as a very friendly thing that people do in order to I mean, where did the handshake come from, right? One theory I've heard is that when you give your open hand, you're showing that you don't have a weapon. You're showing that you mean well. It's a gesture. Whatever the reason it was initially done, in today's world, it's a gesture to show openness, friendliness and peace, basically, right? And for someone to reject that, it is seen as a rude thing, right, to do. And so what she's saying is, she's taken back because she considers this to be like a rude way to react to someone who gave you the hand, right? He's trying to say it's like about his wife, but it's not about his wife. Even if he had no wife, he still wouldn't shake her hand, right?
Land der jenter og damer har samme rettigheter som menn, der vi kan greie det samme og skal ha like muligheter. Og jeg tenker at når man har et sånt utgangspunkt, så legitimerer man jo det at jenter ikke får samme muligheter i Norge.
Her er det egentlig jeg som ikke får samme mulighet, for det er jeg som ikke fikk håndhilse på deg på grunn av min kones forespørsel til meg.
Men Listhaug fikk heller ikke håndhilse på deg.
Hun fikk jo blomster.
Sylvi Listhaug, Fahad Qureshi.
So here we have going back to the workaround of giving her flowers. So clearly we can see that this tactic didn't work of giving flowers, because it's almost like you smile at someone and then you spit to the side, right? Like what would happen, right? This cheap tactic of giving flowers didn't work. She's not pleased. She's saying, you legitimize that girls do not get the same opportunities in Norway. What she's saying, right, is actually true. It's a good point. When you look at Islamic values, when you look at what men like this are saying, he is saying the truth that it's not just him that doesn't shake hands with women, but it's also women that don't shake hands with men. It's coming as part of a package system that actually takes away, the autonomy of women. It takes away the options. It takes away the rights. It puts them in the back. I mean, we have hadith that say things like a woman should remain in her house, right? A woman should be praying in the most inside part of the house. Basically, a woman, the Quran says that a woman, when she goes out, she should not be drawing attention to herself. She has to be covering up, and she shouldn't be wearing things that jangle, that, draw attention to her. The Quran says that. It's not just a hadith, right? So this segregation, this veiling, this separation, who does it harm? It clearly harms women, not men, right? Women are the ones that get harmed by this. So when she says, even the smallest things such as not shaking hands, well, first of all, it's not a sexual thing. It's just shaking a hand. You're not kissing the guy, or she's not kissing you or something. Second of all, you are actually not just not doing that, but you're also not doing a lot more than that, right? Like we've seen in Saudi Arabia, the one extreme version of this is that women cannot drive. Now, of course, now they can, but the point is that this didn't come in a vacuum. All of these things, like, for example, the way the Taliban is behaving towards women right now, how they're trying to take away the positions of, like, being journalists and studying, and all of these things, they're connected back to Islamic values and Islamic culture, right? And it's not just rude, right? It's also not living according to the values of the land. So this is an ongoing problem when you have conservative Muslims that want to live in a country that's not Muslim, yet they don't want to play nicely. Now, this is the least of our concerns, whether, he shakes his hands with a woman or whatever. That's not the end of the world. There are far worse things. But for a representative of the government, that you don't shake her hand, she sees this as a system that's bad, right? And she's right? And that's why she's saying it's not just about rudeness, but it's also that women should have the same opportunities as men. So what do I think? Is this right or wrong? Well, I already said this isn't the worst thing in the world, but I do believe that if you're going to immigrate, or if you're going to live in a country, you need to, or you should, adopt the values, especially something that's not harmful in any way whatsoever. Muslims can be a little bit more lenient and just let some things go, right? And we're going to see another video. I'm not quite done yet. Wait until you see what Sheikh Asim Al-Hakim has to say about this. This guy, wow.
So Sheikh, I know that shaking hands with women is not permissible. Now my question is, sometimes we face situations where someone extends their hands towards us. For example, a female teacher. Now, how do we escape from this situation? Do we tell them that it's haram, or should we make other excuses?
First of all,
So this is a perfectly reasonable question. This clown sitting in his TV studio, probably living in a Muslim country that has no connection to the real world or to what people are, going through in, let's say, non-Muslim countries, or even probably Muslim countries. Let's be honest, right? Watch and see like what this guy says. Okay.
you have to always keep your distance from women. You cannot be this close to a woman where she extends her hands and then you ask, what should I do?
So his first comment is, you need to be at least like 6 feet away. I mean, not 6 feet, but like, it's like the COVID rule. It's like you have to treat women like they have COVID. Like, stay far away from me. Don't come near me. You got cooties. Like, that's the first thing. Don't even go close to her. Never mind like shaking her hand. Just stay far away. I mean, that solves the problem, right? According to him.
Sometimes they may jump on you and kiss you. In some cultures, it's normal for women to kiss on the cheek. Men, they meet.
Oh my goodness. He's going further and further now. He might jump on you. Sheikh, please keep your fantasies to yourself, please. This is a very serious topic. You should not be making jokes like this.
Like in Spain or in the like. So it's cultural. There's no problem in that.
Again, if it's cultural, then what is the problem here? If this is just a cultural greeting that differs from society to society, I mean, we should respect the cultural norms of a society which are not harmful and be part of them, right? Engage in them. I mean, that makes society better, does it not?
So you as a man, when you come to encounter the opposite gender due to school, due to work, due to buying something in a store, keep your distance from far away, 2-3 meters. Don't get so close so that you cannot escape. If you're 2-3 meters, she would not walk extending her arm or hand.
So if a woman walks towards you, you have to back off. You say, back off, lady, back off, stay away. And just slowly back away. As she walks closer to you, you need to slowly back off, right? Just keep the distance, right? It's pretty funny, like what he's saying. Does he even think about like how unrealistic this is?
And to shake hands. She'll just nod. In worst case scenario, somebody of the opposite gender extends their hand. Is it permissible?
Notice that he's saying this is the worst case scenario now. We're getting to like the worst case scenario. She's going to try to shake your hand.
To shake hands? The answer is no. Why are you hesitant in rejecting it? Oh, Sheikh, it's embarrassing. Embarrassing to who? To the poor lady. If I don't reach out, if I don't shake hands, if I don't touch her, she might be offended. Okay, and if you don't offend her and you do shake hands, what are the consequences? Oh, Sheikh, I may be thrown into hell and Allah.
Did he just say I might be thrown into hell because I shake the hand of a woman? Can you imagine what these people are saying? Like the insanity of it. For shaking a woman's hand, not jumping on her, not, God forbid, sexually harassing a woman. For touching her hand, he's saying, okay? Now, that just made me think of something else, which is quite ironic. You might know what I'm about to say, but let him finish his point.
Allah will punish me and torment me for that. Okay. What is it? What's gonna be? What are you gonna choose? Hell or offending her? Definitely, it's no brainer. Simply just keep your hand to yourself and say, pardon me, this is against my religion. I can't shake hands with the opposite gender.
So basically, you have to be completely terrified of God throwing you in hell so that every little thing has to be implemented to the maximum, even like harmless things like not shaking hands or shaking hands. Notice how cult-like this sounds? It's almost like someone saying like, if I put sugar in my tea, I'm going to go to hell. So are you going to put sugar in your tea? I mean, just think about it. It's something as innocent as like, you know, putting sugar in your tea or something like that. Shaking a hand with a woman is completely innocent and harmless. Yet apparently this is like some terrible sin that you need to go to hell for. But the funny thing is, according to Islamic law, you can have slaves and you can even have sex with your slaves. Yet apparently you can't shake hands with women. Like, how bizarre is that? That is the strangest, weirdest thing ever. Slavery is allowed. Of course, slavery with women, having women, female slaves, and you can know what happens there. You can buy and sell slaves, but you can't touch a woman. Like, this is another red flag that shows you the religion is completely made up. Like, none of this makes sense. It's not consistent. It's not coherent.
Full stop. Whoever is offended is offended. The hell with them, with all due respect. I do not want to go to hell. If they want to be offended, be my guest. Who cares? They have their culture, I have my religion. Who's proud of his belief more, you or them? This is something you have to pay attention to.
So obviously what we're going to see is, if this continues and people consider that the religious values are superior to the cultural values of a society. Now, of course, it's not just them thinking that they're superior, but them flagrantly violating the norms and sometimes even the laws of the land. I mean, some people go even further than just, not shaking hands. They'll even steal, rob, loot, pilfer, murder someone because it's allowed in the religion. I mean, that's how bad it can get, right? And it's unfortunate because, these countries that we're talking, some of these countries are like amazing countries like Norway, Sweden, right? These are like amazing places to be for Muslims, right? The rights are being met. They're not discriminated openly, right? It's far better than some Muslim countries where if you're a Shia or an Ahmadi or any minority, you wouldn't be treated well by the majority. So here you have a country that's treating you better, that's giving you the rights, allowing you to have mosques and pray and do all these things, right? Even not shake hands with women. But that's where you're starting to, cause a dilemma for the country because, this is not comfortable. Again, not the worst thing in the world, right? Let's just be realistic, but it is a symptom of a bigger problem, right? It's a symptom of a bigger problem of like value clashing. And these values are going to continue clashing as long as we have, a lot of people that are immigrating and they have different values, right? So we need to find a way to ensure that the values of a country stay strong and remain, the way that they are. Of course, if something is bad, we'd want to improve on that. But like, the reason why Muslims love these countries is because they have democracy, liberalism, they have many fundamental rights, right? And we can't let people come in and take away those rights, women's rights, right? The rights of children, right? Not to be abused. The rights of women to study and to be educated and to be equal in society in every way, right? If we have people from societies where women are third class coming here and trying to take away those rights, we don't want that, right? And again, even though this is not the worst thing in the world, this is symptomatic of a far larger problem in Islam with women's values, women's rights. That's all I have to say. Do you agree? Should Muslims shake hands with women, Muslim men, and Muslim women shake hands with non-Muslim men in a non-Muslim society? Or should we tell them that it's okay, and should we change the culture so that there's no more shaking hands if people don't want to? What do you think? I personally lean towards Muslims should integrate and should shake hands. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't hurt anybody, but obviously there's a personal comfort thing there, and everyone should have the right to decide for themselves. Nobody should be forced to do it. But at the same time, we can also say that this is our values and we value this as a society. Sure, if you don't want to, that's up to you. But if people look down on you for that, well, let's be real. That's because that's one of our values, is we shake hands with the opposite sex when we meet them. So you can, no one's going to force you. That's your boundary. At the same time, it doesn't feel right to us, right? And we don't like this. And we're allowed to not like this, just like you're allowed to have your values. So that's all I have for today. Stay tuned for more from your friendly Muslim. Do subscribe if you're new here. I'm going to continue making more videos on the topic of Islam. If you'd like to support the channel, do check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com/friendlyxmuslim. The link is down below. Thanks for watching. This is your friendly ex-Muslim, Abdullah Samir, signing out.